The day your life changes is not the day the world finally chooses you. It is the day you stop waiting to be chosen at all. Sit with that, because it names a trap you have been living inside for years, without a word for it. You have been waiting for the recognition, the promotion, the apology, the person who finally sees your worth. And while you waited, you made yourself endlessly available, endlessly agreeable, because some part of you believed that if you were just good enough and patient enough, you would be chosen. You were not being humble. You were handing the deciding vote on your own life to people who were never going to cast it in your favor. So ask yourself one hard thing and answer it honestly. Whose approval are you still waiting for before you will let yourself become who you already know you could be? Name them, because as long as there is a name, you are not running your own life. You are auditioning for it in front of a judge who is in no hurry to decide and who benefits from keeping you waiting. This video is about ending that wait, not by demanding to be chosen, which is just waiting with more noise. By making yourself into the kind of man the world reorganizes itself around, the one whose absence is felt like a consequence. And there is a cost. The moment you stop being available to everyone, some people will call you cold, and a few of them will be people you did not want to lose. The end of this holds the turn that decides whether that cost is worth paying. Watch for it. 500 years ago, Machiavelli warned that the man who makes himself constantly available, constantly useful, constantly there, does not earn love. He earns expectation. The people around him stop seeing his giving as generosity and start seeing it as his function, owed to them, and the day he stops, they do not mourn, they resent. The valued man, Machiavelli understood, is the one whose presence must be earned, because a thing that costs nothing to obtain is worth nothing to keep. Before the first shift, put 4 words in the comments. I choose myself first. Type it, because by the end of this, you will understand that you were never overlooked. You were just too available to be valued, and availability is a thing you can revoke. Why waiting to be chosen destroys you. Before we go down into the shifts, understand the mechanism of the trap, because you cannot escape a cage you cannot see. Waiting to be chosen feels like patience, like humility, like being a good person who will eventually be rewarded. It is none of those things. It is a slow surrender of authority over your own life, made one small concession at a time. Every time you dim your ambition, so someone else feels comfortable. Every time you accept less than you are worth to keep the peace. Every time you stay available to people who only appear when they need something, you are casting a vote. And the vote says, my worth is decided by them, not me. And the world, which reads these votes with perfect accuracy, simply agrees with you. It always agrees with the value you place on yourself. That is the cruelest part. You set the price at 0 by waiting, and the world honors the price you set. Watch how this runs in an ordinary life. There is a man at every workplace who is the most reliable person there. He covers shifts, he never says no, he is patient, useful, agreeable, always available. And he tells himself that one day this will be recognized, that his loyalty will be repaid, that they will see, they will not see. They will promote the man who made himself harder to keep, who had options, who was clearly willing to leave. Because the reliable, available man has taught everyone, through years of easy yeses, that he requires nothing to retain. You do not reward the thing you already have for free. You reward the thing you are afraid of losing. And no one is afraid of losing a man who has made himself impossible to lose. Machiavelli saw this in courts 5 centuries ago, and it has not changed. The courtier who was always present, always agreeable, always available, became furniture, part of the room, unnoticed. The one who was harder to reach, whose counsel had to be sought, was treated as precious. Same men, different value. and the difference was set entirely by how freely they made themselves available. The man who waits to be chosen has made himself furniture, and furniture does not get chosen. It gets used and then replaced when something newer arrives. And here is the lie at the center of the waiting, the one that keeps good men trapped in it for decades. The waiting feels active. It feels like you are doing something, being patient, building goodwill, earning your turn, and that one day the accumulated weight of all your patience will tip the scale, and you will finally be chosen. It never tips. There is no scale. No one is keeping the tally you imagine, adding up your years of availability and preparing to reward them. The people you are waiting on have simply filed you as reliable and moved on to their own concerns. Your patient waiting reads to them not as a debt accumulating, but as a man who is fine where he is. Your loyalty is not building toward a payout. It is being quietly spent, day by day, on people who will never audit the account because they do not know it exists. The wait is not a strategy. It is a way of feeling productive while your life is decided by everyone but you. Here is your first small correction, and let it become a thing you can say to yourself. My worth is not up for a vote. Say it when you catch yourself waiting, and stop waiting. Shift 1. Stop explaining yourself. So we go down into the shifts that turn a man from someone who waits into someone who is waited for. The first is the shallowest and the most immediate, and it is this. Stop explaining yourself. The man who waits to be chosen is always explaining. He explains why he said no, apologizes for boundaries that need no apology, over-justifies every decision, narrates his reasons to people who did not ask and do not care. And every explanation is a tell. It signals that he does not believe he has the standing to simply decide, that he is seeking permission, dressed up as courtesy, that underneath he is still asking to be approved of. A man secure in his own authority does not explain much because he is not looking for a vote. He has already decided, and the decision does not require ratification from the room. Understand the mechanism, because it is precise. When you over-explain, you hand the other person the position of judge. You are submitting your reasoning for their approval, and in doing so, you have made their approval the thing that finalizes your decision, when it was never theirs to finalize. The man who says no and then talks for 2 minutes about why is not setting a boundary. He is negotiating one and inviting the other person to argue him out of it. The man who says no and stops has set a fact. Facts do not need defending, only requests do. This does not mean becoming cold or refusing to communicate. It means understanding the difference between informing and justifying. You can be warm, kind, even gentle, and still not explain yourself into a corner. That does not work for me, said once, warmly, and then silence is complete. It needs no paragraph. The move this week is to catch one moment where you would normally explain yourself, and simply not. Make the decision, state it if it needs stating, and let the silence after it stand. You are not being rude. You are learning that your choices do not require a defense, because you are the authority on your own life, and an authority doesn't substitute its rulings for review. See how the two versions sound in one small scene. Someone invites you to a thing you do not want to attend. The waiting man says no, and then it pours out of him, an apology, a reason, a description of how busy he is, an offer to make it up another time, a second apology, until the no has been so buried in justification that the other person can simply pick one of the reasons and argue against it, and often talk him back into a yes. He did not decline. He opened a negotiation. The self-possessed man says a different kind of no. Thank you, I can't make it. And then nothing, no reason offered, because a reason is a handle, and a handle is a thing to pull. The absence of explanation is not rudeness. It is a closed door, and a closed door does not invite you to argue with the lock. Watch how much shorter and cleaner your life becomes when your no's stop coming with instructions on how to overturn them. Shift 2. Make yourself scarce. Down a layer. Shift 2. Make yourself scarce on purpose. The reason people became comfortable taking you lightly is not mysterious. You were too available. You answered too fast, returned too easily after being dismissed, showed up the instant you were summoned, made your presence a thing that required no effort to obtain. And a presence that requires no effort to obtain is a presence with no perceived value, no matter how much real value it contains, because human beings measure worth by cost, and a thing that costs nothing to get reads as a thing worth nothing to have. Scarcity is not a trick, and it is not a game. It is the accurate external signal of a man whose time is genuinely committed to things that matter. When you stop being available at every hour, stop replying in seconds, stop dropping your own priorities the instant someone else's need appears, you are not manipulating anyone. You are simply ceasing to broadcast that your time is unclaimed, and unclaimed time reads to everyone as time nobody else wanted. The man whose attention must be earned is valued precisely because it must be earned. The man who gives it away to whoever asks has trained the world to expect it for free. You cannot charge for a thing you have spent years giving away, but scarcity only works when it is real, which means you have to actually put your time somewhere better. This is not about ignoring people to seem important. It is about committing your hours to your own rise so completely that your unavailability is simply true. You are not pretending to be busy building something. You are busy building it, and the scarcity is the honest shadow that casts. The move this week is to stop being instantly reachable to one person or one situation that has taken your availability for granted, not with an announcement, just with a quiet change in how fast and how completely you show up. Watch how the value of your attention changes the moment it stops being guaranteed. And here is a line to keep as you do it. My presence is earned, not assumed. Watch the reprice happen in a real dynamic. There is a person in your life who texts and expects an answer within minutes because you have always given one. They interrupt your evenings, your weekends, your focus, and you have trained them to expect that you will always be there, instantly, whatever they need. Then you change it, quietly. You stop answering within minutes. You reply in a few hours, or the next day, not out of anger, just because you were doing something that mattered and did not stop for the buzz. The first time they notice, the second time, something shifts in how they treat you. They start to prepare before they reach out, to value the reply when it comes, to stop treating your attention as a utility that is always on. You did not have a conversation about respect. You did not demand to be valued. You simply stopped being instantly available, and your value rose on its own, because a thing that is always there is worth nothing, and a thing you have to wait for is worth catching. Lesson lands without a single word spoken about it. Quick question, and it divides people hard. Who ends up more respected in the long run? The warm, always available man who gives freely to everyone, or the man who is selective, whose time and loyalty have to be earned? Half of you believe generosity wins, that giving builds the deepest bonds. But look honestly at your own life. The people you gave the most to, most freely, most endlessly, did they treasure it? Or did they come to expect it and resent the day it slowed down? Drop your take below, generous or selective. And here is the audit, the one that stings. Name one relationship or job where your total availability earned you less respect, not more. Most men can name it in a second and have never once connected it to the fact that they made themselves free. Shift 3. Garbo and the power of disappearing. Down another layer, to the deepest version of scarcity. And here is where the anchor of this whole video lives, because one person understood the power of the strategic disappearance. better than almost anyone who ever lived. Her name was Greta Garbo, and in 1941 she did something that shocked the entire world. She walked away from Hollywood at the absolute height of her fame. She was 35 years old, the most famous woman on the planet, compared in her era to royalty for the sheer volume of attention on her. She had everything the world tells you to want: fame, beauty, money, universal recognition. And she left. She retired completely and spent the next 49 years as a recluse, refusing interviews, refusing autographs, refusing premieres, refusing the entire machinery of fame that every other star spent their life chasing. Her most famous line from a film years earlier had become her motto: "I want to be alone." Now understand what her disappearance actually did, because it is the entire lesson of this video compressed into one life. Every other star of her era chased the spotlight, stayed available, gave the interviews, worked the premieres, made themselves constantly present, and today most of them are forgotten. Garbo did the opposite. She removed herself completely, and her mythical status did not fade. It grew, as one account put it. Eschewing publicity gave her more of it. By making herself absolutely unavailable, she became more fascinating, more valuable, more legendary than she had ever been while present. 50 years of silence turned her from a movie star into a myth. The absence did what no amount of presence could have done. And here is the mechanism underneath, the part that applies directly to you at every scale of life. Garbo understood something almost no one has the nerve to act on. Presence, given freely, has a ceiling. There is only so much value you can generate by being available, because availability is common and the common is cheap. But absence, chosen deliberately by someone the world wants, has no ceiling, because it creates the one thing presence never can, which is the fear of loss and the ache of wanting. The people who could not have her wanted her more than the people who could have had any of the available stars. She did not raise her value by giving more. She raised it permanently by withdrawing and letting the world feel the size of what it could no longer reach. You do not have to abandon your life and vanish for 50 years. But you have to absorb the principle Garbo lived, because it reverses everything you were taught. Your value is not maximized by making more of yourself available. Past a point, it is protected and increased by strategic withdrawal, by becoming, in the areas that matter, harder to reach, harder to take for granted, harder to fully possess. The man who is always there is a man being slowly forgotten in plain sight. The man who knows when to withdraw becomes the one whose return is an event. Garbo made an entire life out of that single truth, and it made her immortal. And notice the thing that made her withdrawal so powerful, because it is the part men get wrong when they try to copy it. Garbo did not withdraw as a tactic to be wanted more. If she had, it would have leaked, because a withdrawal performed to provoke pursuit always smells like the performance it is. She withdrew because she genuinely did not need the world's attention anymore. And that genuine indifference was exactly what made the attention chase her. This is the paradox you cannot fake. Scarcity performed to increase your value reads as manipulation and fails. Scarcity that comes from actually no longer needing the room is the thing the room cannot stop thinking about. The difference between the two is not visible in the action. Both men leave the party early. It is visible in whether they check on the way home to see who noticed. Garbo did not check. That is why the world could not stop watching the door she walked out of. You cannot withdraw your way into being wanted. You can only stop needing to be wanted and let the withdrawal be the honest shape of that. Shift 4. Stop needing the vote, the last layer, the deepest, the one all the others rest on. Stop needing the vote at all. Everything above still has a flaw if you do it for the wrong reason. You can stop explaining, make yourself scarce, withdraw strategically, and still be doing all of it as a performance aimed at finally being chosen. That is just waiting to be chosen wearing a colder costume. The real shift, the one that makes the rest permanent, is internal. You stop needing the world's vote entirely, not pretending you do not need it, while secretly refreshing your phone for approval. Actually not needing it, because you have relocated the source of your worth from outside you to inside you. Here is how that relocation works, mechanically, because it is not a feeling you wait to have. It is a thing you build. Your sense of worth currently comes from external returns, praise, recognition, the reactions of others, and that is why you are vulnerable, because anyone who controls those returns controls you. They can lift you with attention and crush you with silence. The way out is to start deriving worth from things no one else can touch. The discipline you keep when no one is watching, the standard you hold when there is no audience to hold it for. The promises you make to yourself and keep in private. These generate a kind of worth that cannot be given or taken by anyone, because you are both the source and the judge. And once your worth comes from there, the world's vote simply stops mattering, and a man whose worth the world cannot vote on is a man the world cannot control. This is the coldest and most important form of self-command, and it is not arrogance. Arrogance is loud and needs an audience. This is quiet and needs no one. The move this week is to do one thing that matters to you, well, and tell no one. No post, no mention, no seeking of the reaction. Just do it to the standard you set, for the private satisfaction of having met your own bar. You are practicing the relocation, moving the source of your worth from the crowd's hands into your own. And here is the line that marks it. My worth is mine to set. And notice why this one is the foundation the other three stand on. You can stop explaining, go scarce, and withdraw like Garbo. But if underneath you are still doing it to be chosen, the whole structure is hollow, and it will collapse the first time someone offers you the approval you secretly still crave. You will come running back, because the need was never actually gone, only hidden. The only version of this that holds is the one built on a worth the world did not give, and therefore cannot take. When your sense of who you are comes from the standards you keep in private, the discipline no one sees, the word you keep to yourself when breaking it would cost you nothing externally. You have built something on bedrock. The man built on external approval is at the mercy of every person who can grant or withhold it. The man built on internal standard is at the mercy of no one. The only judge whose verdict he needs is one he controls completely. That is not coldness. It is the only real freedom there is. Everything else in this video is just the visible shape of a man who has it. Here is the turn, and it goes somewhere the whole video was hiding. Everything so far has been about the crowd whose vote you were waiting for. But look closer at that crowd, and you will find something uncomfortable at the center of it. The loudest, harshest, most withholding member of that jury, the one whose approval you have chased hardest and received least, is not out there at all. It is you. You have been the crowd, the harshest vote against your worth, the one you have been most desperate to overturn, has been cast every day by your own internal judge, the voice that says not yet, not good enough, not until you have proven it. You did not just wait for the world to choose you, you refused to choose yourself, and then went looking for someone outside to do the choosing you would not do. Sit with how much this reframes. All those people whose approval you craved, you handed them power over you, but they were only ever standing in for the approval you would not give yourself. You made them the judge because you had recused yourself from your own case. And this is why chasing external approval never fills the hole, no matter how much you get, because the vote you are actually starving for is your own, and no amount of applause from others can cast the one vote that was always yours to cast. The man who is waiting to be chosen is, underneath, a man who has not yet chosen himself. And until he does, the whole world could choose him, and he would still feel unchosen, because the missing vote was never theirs. So the real work was never out there. It was never about making the crowd choose you. It was about firing the internal judge who kept ruling against you, and casting, finally, the one vote that decides everything. You choose you. Not when you have proven enough, not when the world agrees, not when the conditions are met. Now, unconditionally, the way you would back a son before he has earned it, because backing him is what lets him earn it. Garbo did not withdraw from the world to make the world want her, though it did. She withdrew because she had already chosen herself and no longer needed the world's vote to feel real. The withdrawal was the echo of a choice she had already made inside. Make that choice, and the waiting ends, because there is nothing left to wait for. The verdict is in, and you delivered it, and understand what it costs to keep withholding that vote from yourself, because that is the real price nobody names. A man who will not choose himself does not just stay stuck. He slowly becomes someone the people around him cannot fully respect either, because respect follows self-respect the way a shadow follows a body, and there is no shadow where there is no body. The world takes its cue from you. It looks at how you treat your own worth and simply matches it. When you defer to everyone, when you shrink, when you wait for permission, you are not just failing to choose yourself. You are teaching every person watching exactly how little to value you, and they are diligent students. This is why the choice cannot wait for the world to go first. The world is waiting for you to go first. It always was. Everyone in that crowd whose vote you wanted is standing there watching to see whether you will vote for yourself. They are taking your hesitation as their answer. Choose, and the crowd resorts itself around the choice, because you finally gave them the number to match. So there it is, the end of waiting to be chosen. Stop explaining yourself, because a man who is the authority on his own life does not submit his rulings for review. Make yourself scarce, because availability given freely is value thrown away. Learn from Garbo that strategic absence can build what no amount of presence ever could. And underneath all of it, stop needing the vote by relocating your worth to the one place no one else can reach. 4 shifts, going down to a single act. You choose yourself first and stop waiting for anyone else to. And the debate from the middle, generous or selective. Here is my answer, and it is not the warm one. Selective wins, and it is not close, but only if the selection is real and not a performance. Endless generosity does not build loyalty, it builds expectation, and expectation turns to resentment the moment it goes unmet. The selective man, whose warmth is genuine but not automatic, builds something the endlessly available man never can. He builds value that people are afraid to lose, and the fear of losing you protects you in a way gratitude never will, because gratitude fades and fear of loss keeps working. Be warm, be genuinely good to the people who earn it, but never be freely available to everyone, because free is not kind, free is forgettable. Here is what changes when you stop waiting to be chosen. The people who only valued your availability drift off, and it stings, and it is meant to, because they were never valuing you, only your usefulness. And the ones who remain begin to treat your time, your presence, your attention as things of value, because you finally are treating them that way yourself. The world stops seeing you as available and starts seeing you as inevitable. Not because you demanded it, because you stopped waiting for it. And a man who has stopped waiting has already won the only vote that was ever in question. Say it one more time, and mean it now. I choose myself first, not out of coldness, and not to punish anyone. Out of the simple understanding that the vote you were waiting for was always yours to cast, and you just cast it. If this ended a wait you did not know you were in, you are one of the pack, and the pack does not audition. Subscribe, because there is a harder skill beneath this one, the discipline of staying chosen by yourself. On the days the old hunger for approval comes back wearing a familiar face, and how to hold the line when loneliness makes the crowd's vote look tempting again. That is coming. For now, stop explaining, withdraw where it counts, and cast the vote. Because you were never truly overlooked. You were just waiting for permission to value yourself, and it was never going to come from out there. It comes from you, and it comes now.